John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Well, you're on Godzilla Wins, and, well, there's an old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So, the producer of the show, the CEO of the company, I guess, my son, Jack Fredericks, well, he's not available today. And Nate, our co-founder, well, he's not available either. So, I really thought about starting the show and putting on my red Trump Make America Great Again hat just to piss them all off. But I decided, let's go with the West Virginia cap because they're going to get in the regionals. But I was very, very close to that, Jay. In fact, I had it on, and Aunt said, why are you going to aggravate your son, right? I mean, why are you going to do that, right? You get out of the box a little bit. But anyway, we're looking forward to a great show today. This is Godzilla Wins. I'm John Fredericks, your host. Mitch Rogers back by popular demand after winning all sorts of soccer championships with his 8-year-old daughter. I think he's going to go in the girls soccer coaching Hall of Fame in Virginia as he is rattling off goals like crazy. He's back, get a little hiatus as the soccer season for his daughter is winding down. Big J is with us. Jay, a former golf pro, as you all know, but he's kind of knows about all sports, so we're getting him back on. So I'm going to be the host today, and of course, the one and only, our senior editor and our writer, Dan Angel, is with us live from, where are you, Dan? Are you still in Florida, or are you covering games somewhere?
I am in Hammond, Louisiana.
Okay, so you were covering, what conference were you covering?
The Southland.
Southland Conference, and who's going to be the finals there?
So Nicholls State has already made the finals, and Lamar and McNeese have an elimination game for the second spot in the finals. Because Nicholls made it through their bracket unscathed. Lamar lost its first game to Incarnate Word, which was an absolute stunner because Lamar is the number 1 seed in the tournament. Incarnate Word was the 8th seed. And it's a 9-team conference. Only the top 8 qualify. So Incarnate Word winning a game was a big surprise. But Lamar has battled back. They put up 36 runs in 2 games yesterday. So their offense was just hitting on all cylinders. Pretty much everybody's offense has been sending balls out of the park left and right because it's been pretty steamy here weather-wise. So it's been great weather for home runs, and there have been a lot of them. The walk-off by Nicholls last night actually broke the record for the Southland Conference tournament in most home runs in one of these events, and there's still 2 games to play today.
Well, these college baseball tournaments are going to be a lot of fun. Of course, the Big 12 tournament, which we were at earlier, West Virginia getting knocked out after 2 games. One thing I noticed about him before we get into everything is, like for West Virginia, once we were the 4th seed, once we lost the first game, which if you won that game, it would have put you in a winner's bracket. You get a day off, and then you're playing in the afternoon or early evening. Once you get in that loser's bracket, like there is no way to win. I mean, you just don't have the arms because you got to play like 5 games straight. No days off, 8 in the morning. Yeah, it's tough, but we'll see what happens with the.
And if anyone can do it at this tournament, it was Lamar because Lamar is on the top seed in this tournament, and the Cardinals are actually good enough to possibly be on the bubble if they lose, despite this normally being a 1-bid league. Like you've talked about how Oklahoma was the favorite in the Big 12 tournament.
Right.
Lamar actually swept Oklahoma during the regular season in a 3-game series. So they're for real.
That's going to help their RPI, right?
Big time. They're for real, and pretty much every seeded team is hoping that Lamar doesn't find a way to pull this off, or if they do, they get up to the 3 line, because Lamar can easily screw up your entire tournament if you have to face them in that first game.
Well, let's see what happens. It should be interesting. One thing about these college baseball tournaments is that if if you don't need to win the tournament to get into the regional, then they really don't become as meaningful. So it's all about now the at-large picks in the regionals. West Virginia, 99.99% chance of getting in. We're either going to Charlottesville or Kentucky. I hope we go to Charlottesville. Lexington is a absolute and unadulterated dump, and so I don't feel like going there. Can't get a hotel. Place it's an armpit of the South, so I have no interest in going there. We'll see what happens. But look, we got a lot to talk about today, guys. Jay Delsing with us. We're going to start off with my Beard Vet Coffee, our sponsor from the beginning. Kenny Lee, my man, Sean. You guys are the best. Sean Brown, Kenny Lee, you guys have done Sean George, such an excellent job. I love my Beard Vet Coffee. I was traveling for 10 days in Texas. I had my Beard Vet Pause with me, but one of the hotels did not offer a Keurig. Normally, I can go in and just say, hey, can you bring one up? But so I was stuck with that hotel coffee as it's garbage. I couldn't wait to get home, get my Beard Vet. So I'm fired up. You don't have your Beard Vet coffee. Ask yourself, why are you depriving yourselves of one of the greatest things in life, which is Beard Vet coffee? And it's priced right. You know what? There's other coffee companies out there that my colleagues advertise for like $1.50 a pod. I don't think so. I'm in media. See, 50 cents a pod. Godzilla wins 10% off, so even 45 cents a pod. You can't beat the 45-cent cup of coffee. That's like in the old times where the guy said, who was that say, Jay, what America needs is a good 5-cent cigar. What America needs is a good 45-cent cup of coffee. And you got it right here with Beard Vet. Just go to beardvet.com, beardvet.com, promo code Godzilla. You get 10% off. Now, if you don't have your Beard Vet, you can get the beans, you can get the grams, you can get whatever you want. You don't have, you got to ask yourself, why? Why don't you do it? It's the best coffee you're ever going to get. And all that other coffee you get, it's just garbage. Beard Vet's the way to go. Kenny Lee and Sean George, my guys, they are the ones. Go to beardvet.com. Jay, we were offline a little bit, Jay Delsing with us. And you were ranting about the NBA show and Charles Barkley and what went down there. Let's just start with that. What the hell's going on?
Jed, you have some great names for dumb things people do on so many of your shows. When I'm thinking of the execs at TNT, this show with Shaq and Charles and Kenny and Ernie Johnson, I don't even care if you like basketball or you follow the NBA. You got to turn this thing on. It is pure entertainment, man. It's a bunch of guys with great sense of humor that know a lot about the game of basketball. But one of the things that I love about Charles Barkley, he doesn't care. He's calling out all of his bosses. He's calling them names. He's talking about, John, you'll love this. He says, my favorite wine is Opus. They're turning us into Ripple and Boone's Farm now because, he's like, they're just screwing everything up. They're talking about the morale with all the guys is terrible. He's talking about taking this over with his own production company. And this show is so good. Even if you don't follow the NBA, I can't believe that TNT is even thinking about not bringing it back.
Well, what's the story behind that? Is it NBC got the contract for the NBA? Is that why they're getting rid of it?
Well, there's all those different levels, Mitch. There's a A package, there's a B package, look, you don't even have to have the NBA. These guys are going to kill it on the ratings. You will slaughter it for sponsors if you have those four guys on
one of the streaming services Amazon or someone should jump all over it. I mean, it's the only show where I didn't watch the actual basketball game, especially during the regular season, that I will jump in at halftime or post game for entertainment. I mean, it's the only production like that that's ever existed in my realm. But they would be dumb not to do it. They're getting paid next year regardless. Charles Barkley said, he goes, I don't care. You better have a check for me on the 1st and the 15th every month next year. And I hope they figure it out because and Ernie's the glue there. And he's the one that's faithfully loyal to TNT and TBS. So
which you got to admire. I mean,
I do.
He's been there forever and he's like, I'm not going anywhere. And Charles is, I love some of the rabbit holes Charles goes down. You're like, wait a minute, what are we talking about again? We got to
The Caitlin Clark. He went on a Caitlin Clark rant the other night, which controversial.
Fantastic.
Yeah, well, he was saying the other night about Caitlin Clark. In fact, I actually ran that clip on my regular show during the week, which was he was saying, "Hey, stop, whining about Caitlin Clark. All you women, stop complaining about her because without her, she put your whole sport on the map, and so you're bitching about her, and you ought to be kissing her feet." I mean, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that's basically what he said. But look. They're very entertaining, and you never know what Charles Barkley's going to say, and I think that's part of the shtick of the show, right, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, isn't it refreshing where somebody actually says what they're thinking? I mean, come on, man. We are in such a screwed up planet right now where if you're not politically correct or this, my daughters tell me all the time, Dad, you can't say that. I'm like, oh, yes, I can. This is my house. We can say it over here.
We can say it on Godzilla
Please
Wins.
don't say it outside. I'm like,
you can say it on Godzilla.
You
you can say it 6 to 10 on the John Fredericks show.
There we go.
You can say it there.
Well, they're of that age, John. They're of that age.
That's right. You never know.
It's so annoying. I'm just over it.
Yeah, that broadcast team. You're right. That's refreshing. I mean, there's no holds barred. They can say what they want, and they truly like each other and love each other. And that's so rare nowadays, especially with so many different platforms to watch games and to have a staple in a broadcasting sense. It's few and far between, and it's sad that another one's probably going to go away.
Well, nobody has that, Mitch. I mean, if you look at, I don't really follow the NBA, but when I do, that's the show you watch. But nobody really has that. I mean, there's no show in the NFL that really takes center stage. There's about 5 of them or 6 of them, right? NFL's network's got one, and I guess Fox has got one. The one with Terry Bradshaw, I think, is a clown show with him and the guy from the Dallas coach, whatever his name is. I think
Jimmy Johnson. Yeah,
that thing's a joke. That's like clowns are us. So I never watched that. But there's not really one show in the NFL. There's not one MLB show. There's not one hockey show like they have in the NBA with Barkley and his guys. So, but you got to think in today's world, open media world with podcasts and everything, you got to think these guys are going to pop up somewhere and make a ton of money.
You would think so, and you bring up the Fox broadcast, and it shows it's such a fine line because they try to do the goofy thing, but they don't do it as well, and so it's a fine line when you play that. And I think the sad part, I mean, you can look right across to the other broadcast partner, ESPN. When you look at their studio show, it's just a bunch of blowhards. It's Stephen A. It's Michael. It's everybody that wants to take over ESPN. They all just jockeying for something, and there's just no chemistry, like not at all. And they just try, and that's where TNT.
Too many words, right? There's a bunch of words. Nobody's saying anything. Charles Barkley speaks. We're all like, what's he going to say? I mean, and the other thing that I think is cool about them guys, and then I'll shut up about this, but they have been together forever. I mean, Kenny's been on the show for 27 years, Charles 24, Ernie's in his 30s, I think. And then they bring Shaq, and so I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's got to pop up somewhere.
It's crazy. I'm old enough that I watched all of their NBA careers too, and then I've seen them 20 some years in broadcasting. I never thought that would happen, but yeah, and I hope they stay together. I think Ernie will be the key to that, so we'll have to figure that out.
Well, we'll see what happens. But joining us today on Godzilla Wins, Jack, our senior founder of the show, and our senior editor is not with us either. Is Nate? They have events today. So with us right now for this panel, you've got Mitch Rogers, you've got our senior editor Dan Angel, and Jay Delsig. We're also going to take your calls if somebody wants to weigh in. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Michael Coleman at the helm today as we go through our show. Guys, lots to talk about today, and I want to stay with your weekly obsessions. We kind of got Jay's. Mitch Rogers, do you have a weekly obsession, something that's been kind of pissing you off all week and you just want to get it off your chest?
The reason why I only logged in 30 seconds before is because I found about this segment. I got on my Instagram and I did put up a story real quick because I am obsessed obsessed over the Drake Kendrick Lamar rap beef. I mean, it's all that I do. I just play nothing but Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And I don't know, hey, I know we're a little older. I know this might not be the audience for it, but if you were paying any attention, it's the biggest story in the world. Kendrick Lamar has the most streams ever for Not Like Us. I'm also obsessed with the Apple 100 top album list. That is just crazy. They put Lauryn Hill, #1 album of all time, over Michael Jackson, over the Beatles. They did. I mean, it's pretty good publicity because they know they're just going to get a lot of people screaming it. They had Frank Ocean at #5, so everyone's screaming and yelling. Yeah, but it's been the music world, and I didn't know once I crept up to my 50s or 47 that I'd still listen to hip hop and rap. I do, and I love it, and I'm obsessed. And Kendrick won the beef. That's all I got to say.
You have any comment on that, Jay?
All I can tell you is I know who Drake is. Is that good? That's not good. That's probably not worth a damn. But I got to tell you guys, I love music, and I shouldn't even be allowed to listen to it because I have no ability whatsoever. But my girlfriend bought me a guitar, and so I am trying to learn the guitar, and I suck at it, and it is hard. That's all I can tell you, man.
Got to start somewhere, Jay.
I'm looking at that. I thought I had halfway decent hands. Played professional golf my whole life, and my teacher says, "Put your fourth finger on the third string," and I look at my hands, and they're not moving.
Oh yeah, when I go from a G to the C chord, I'm like, oh yeah, I just started to.
I totally suck. So, but I do know who Drake is. Yeah.
Let's look.
Which is more than me. I mean, I hear the word Drake. I think the school in Des Moines, Iowa.
Can we say one-dimensional, Dan?
I've said many times. My wife tells me I live under a rock, and I tell her, "Yeah, a rock with good dome sports streaming reception."
That must be it. I mean, when you spent 5 minutes today talking about what was that conference you're covering? Nickel State, Lamar. It's like, okay, this guy really needs to get a life.
Wait, we had Lamar. We have Kendrick Lamar and
whoever
Drake.
you were talking about.
Wait a minute.
We have colleges named after my rappers. I love this.
John, wait a minute. Now, if I had brought that up on my own, you'd have a point there. But I'm getting paid to be here. Like, it makes perfect sense. But that's like criticizing Jay for talking about golf.
We got to make fun of you, Dan. We got to make fun of somebody. Jack's not here to monitor this whole thing, so he's probably listening in, shaking his head right now.
I didn't want to come in and say I was obsessing over RFK. That would have thrown a wrench in the show, right?
We got a 2-hour show. You're gonna find something to make fun of me for. Making fun of me for being obsessed with a conference that I've been getting paid to cover for the last 3 days, isn't it?
I tell you what, whatever they're paying you to cover that conference, it just isn't enough. I think. I mean, spending 5 days in the heat of Louisiana covering what was it?
Baseball played in this conference.
Nickel State and Lamar and what is it? Incarnate Word. I mean, you definitely got to get more money for covering that. Now, if you were covering like the ACC tournament or SEC, I could say, okay, that's kind of fun. But man, they got you down there. I mean, you got to dig down deep to do that. But look, we're excited about your tournament.
I'm just going to throw this out. I'm just going to throw this out there. With where West Virginia is, you better start learning about Nickel State and Lamar because that might be your first opponent. Like maybe not because you're likely to stay east, but both Nickel State and Lamar are good enough to beat somebody big in that first game.
I'm just taking the over, Dan. It sounds like we got a lot of numbers.
We need to make a team trip. We need to make a road trip and all go watch it together.
Well, Jay, taking the over might not be that good of a decision, especially if Lamar is involved, because their pitcher, Brooks Capel, is pretty much single-handedly capable of screwing up a team's weekend because he went 7 innings, 0 runs allowed, and he's good enough to do that against a power school.
But didn't you say they scored 36 the last 2 games?
Yeah, the last 2 games, but he went the first day. And he's going to go in their first game because he's their ace pitcher, and they're going to throw him against whoever their first opponent is, which is probably going to be a Power 5 school.
Is there any coverage for it? Can you watch it on ESPN Plus or anything?
Yeah, all the games are on ESPN.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
All the games are on ESPN Plus. All the conference.
College baseball is fantastic.
All the conference tournament games. College
baseball.
What I
love about college baseball is they actually let pitchers pitch out of situations. Like you never see that in the majors anymore because these guys just don't learn how to pitch. They're just hunting strikeouts and they don't learn how to pitch their way out of jams. College, you can't do that because you have to set up your staffs. So these pitchers actually have to learn how to pitch out of tight situations. And some of them have managed to do it, and it's been fun to watch.
Well, the regionals are selected on Monday at noon. Obviously, we're some of us are off, like me, on Memorial Day, so we're looking forward to that. What?
What's
I'm
that
off.
like?
I'm off. Yeah, I'm not on. There will be no
One-
John
one of
Fredericks radio show.
One of my favorite phrases is, "I'm a journalist. I understand every word except holiday."
Yeah, well, I'm off, so sorry you have to work, but I'm running it best of that day. We understand Joe's coming home on Sunday for a day. He's got a day off, so we're looking forward to that. Even though I just saw him, obviously, in wherever I was, somewhere in Texas. Where was I? Irving, or what?
Arlington.
Arlington. Yeah. First we were in Fort Worth, then we were in Arlington.
You spent all that time complaining about the Rangers banner, and you forgot to look up where you were.
Yeah, screw the Rangers.
At least you got to see some local Houston
That's
Astros
tough, man.
games.
John, how many times have you woken up, you're rolling around in bed and like looking for a book of matches, which of course you can't smoke in a room anymore. Just figure out what city you're in. I mean,
a lot. Yeah, a lot. I mean, I travel a lot, so sometimes you just forget.
Have that much trouble doing that.
Especially when you're going on I was out for 10 days, so I kind of forgot where I was. But anyway, we're back. Joe's coming home Sunday, so that's going to be fun. But the regionals come on Monday, and it's kind of like when you're on the bubble, right, for the NCAA basketball tournament. It's not like football where everybody kind of knows where they're going when the bowls are picked. But you have this one day where all these large teams get in, and we don't know who's going to get the host regional, and so it's going to be pretty exciting for a lot of these teams. And there's a lot of teams right now on the bubble, and a lot of things come into play. Conference wins, RPI, which has got to be low. That's based on teams that you played, and West Virginia totally lucked out with RPI because some of the teams that they played early in the season who beat them a couple of games, like Stetson and Western Kentucky, to name two of them, had great seasons and ended up winning a lot of games, which drops your RPI, which gives you a better chance to get in. So I think West Virginia is going to be the second seed, but who knows, right? No one knows. There's always shockers, and there's always people that are going to be disappointed, but that is going to come out. Guys, on Monday. Now, speaking of the NCAA, huge ruling this week, or agreement, if you will, huge on antitrust lawsuits were filed by players against the NCAA and against the universities they were with, saying that they utilized their name, image, and likeness to make money, and they never got paid for it. So the NCAA, as this crept up to court, the NCAA and its affiliates decided this is just bad for us. We don't want to go through with a trial. We're going to lose. So they made a settlement. So it's a two-part settlement. The first part, I will get everybody's comment on this because it is going to change NCAA athletics forever, right? This is bigger than the NIL thing. So the first part of the settlement was pretty clear. They're going to give a pot of money to those that were involved in the lawsuit. So they're going to get paid out. So that's number one, and it's big dollars. Second part of it is they're going to make an agreement going forward that NCAA schools will be able to pay student athletes directly. Now, this is in addition to NIL money, which comes from a separate pot. These are donors that put into a cooperative or a trust, if you will, and then the coaches of various athletic disciplines dole those out as they see fit. They all get a budget, they dole it out. So that stays. So that's the pot of money there. But then there's going to be, I think, starting in the spring of 25, if I'm correct, there's going to be a pot of money that is based on the revenue share that the athletic departments take in, TV revenue and et cetera, ticket sales, and 40% of that pot of money has to go to the players paid directly. So the whole student athlete amateur gone. That will be gone in the spring of 25 when the universities will negotiate and pay athletes directly, baseball, football, basketball, golf, whatever it is, they're all going to share in it because they're all part of that based on the revenue they bring in. So it is going to change. It's going to change NCAA forever. It's also going to impact the draft, who goes into the NFL as a junior, who goes into baseball, because you've got juniors in baseball now that I'm telling you in spring of 25 are going to make a ton more money than they could ever make in the minor leagues or ever make if you're, 10 down in the or 15 to 20 rounds. They're just going to stay at the college and make that money and then take their chance as a senior, even though their leverage goes down. So I've kind of laid this out. I'm going to start with Mitch. We're all college athletics fans. What does this mean? What does it do to everything as a whole? Mitch Rogers.
It's sad to me. I knew it was coming. College sports, especially college football, for me and my family. My family's from Alabama, SEC. It's a staple and it's a religion. And the fact that it's turning into a super league, kind of like English Premier Soccer, something like that. It's going to be this tiered thing where they're moving through. It had to happen. I get it. The kids need to be paid. It's already, Nil started that off, and then, and the antitrust suits. I knew it was happening, but all I can say, it's sad. I just want classic college sports back, and that's never going to happen again. So they need to figure out, so it's not just a minor league filter system. They need to do something to keep the traditions alive, and not just from, I brought up Alabama, but for the Lamars and for the other schools out there that have a tradition. Sometimes that's all they have in those towns, and they're not going to have the same kind of money. I don't know. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. It's not surprising. It's just, I want them to figure out a way to still make college sports special and not just be a filter and a minor league system for the other sports. And I don't know if they can do that.
Look, I agree with you, because that's really what it becomes now, and it becomes a job, and the whole student athlete thing goes away. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, the academic eligibility rules stay in place, so you still have to get your grades up. There's been cheating on there forever. Let's go to Jay. Jay, your reaction to this?
Well,
Jay
guys,
Delson.
it changes everything. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I mean, there's a reason why Nick Saban decided to bow out now. He is just completely fed up with the NIL stuff. It also makes you go back. You look at this thing. There was a UCLA basketball player that sued the NCAA over EA Sports and this thing years and years ago. His name was Ed O'Bannon. Mm-hmm. And these guys only wound up getting a couple $1,000s because they were actually playing video games that were put together by EA Sports in conjunction with the NCAA, using their name, image, and likeness without paying anybody. And so there has been this undertow that's been going on, John, for years and years. And now the NCAA could screw up my daughter's lemonade stand, man. They don't know how to run anything. And they have just jacked all of this up. I just read this week where this quarterback went from the University of Miami. He left Miami to go to Florida last year because he was only getting $10 million to play at Miami. He went to Florida. Now he's suing the boosters at the NIL at Florida because they promised him $13.3 million and he didn't get it. But he's going to play for Georgia this year. Guys, something's got to give. And then leaving it in the hands of the NCAA is insane because they don't know how to do anything. We need to get some rules. We need to get some restrictions. At least once the season starts, shut the damn NIL down. Don't let us go into bowl season with kids being able to still hop and go to different teams.
Transfer portal,
I mean, that is, even some dumbass like me could figure that out. Some smart people need to plug in and start locking this thing down because it's going to mess up everything. John, to your point with kids staying in college, I mean, think about that. And with the COVID and all the other idiotic things, they let people have 6 years in college. Well, Bo Nix comes out of Oregon. He's played for 2 or 3 or 4 different teams, and he's got $20 million in the bank already. And now he's going to the NFL. They've got to get their hands around this somehow, and some smart people got to figure it out. But I would hate to see it change, college, the bell cows are college football, college basketball, right? And even women's basketball now that make the golf's not going to see any of this money. But I don't want it to. I love watching college football, man. I love watching March Madness. And if this starts, these guys start holding out, and it's gonna ruin it.
Well, like you said with the Miami situation and the kid, suing the NIL Foundation because they didn't come through with what they promised. The next thing you're going to get is unionization. I mean, Northwestern attempted that. Now you're going to get all the schools who are going to want to unionize. Now you're dealing with union players, and I don't know how you stop that when you're actually paying them. But they're going to get paid from two ends now. So one of my biggest fears, and then I'm going to get to Dan here. One of my biggest fears is the rich schools get all the best players because they get all the best money. They get all the money. So the SEC schools are going to get all the best players, and then you start to go down in these conferences, and they just can't compete because they don't have the revenue stream. And then everything becomes about how much money you're going to make. What's your NIL? What are you getting paid for in your particular college? Because you're getting money on both ends. You combine that with an open portal situation, and it's just pay to play, right? I mean, when the portal first started, it was all about PT, playing time. What position am I? I'm a second string quarterback. I'm playing behind somebody that's better. I got to get a shot. I got to take my shot. So I'm going to transfer out. I don't have to wait 12 months for eligibility. Okay, that kind of made sense to me. Kids should have that freedom when they're stuck in a tough situation. But it's not about PT now. Now it's about money. It's like somebody, I'm getting 50,000 NAL here. Somebody offers me 200,000 there because they need a closer, and so I take the money. I'm gone. And then, it just everything gets upset. Dan, final word.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wild, wild west now, and something that Mitch alluded to, how it kind of is becoming like the Premier League. Well, treat it like the Premier League then with football. I've beat this drum before. Introduce promotion and relegation. Like, one of the reasons that the Premier League or the Bundesliga works is because those smaller teams have a chance to get into that top league and get those revenue streams. Like, it makes no sense that somebody like a Boise State or a James Madison is cut off from those revenue streams because they weren't around or they weren't playing on major college football 20, 30 years ago, whereas an Indiana or a Vanderbilt is just cashing checks because they joined up with the right friends while they go and win 2 games a year. If this is how it's going to be, separate college football conferences from the rest of them, make the conferences in the non-revenue sports actually make sense. Like, there's no reason that California and UCLA should be in different conferences for baseball, and California is going across the country to play NC State in a weekend series. Separate college football, promotion, relegation in that sport. Every other sport, make it designed by geography and size so that we're actually getting some sensible matchups during the regular season that fans actually care about. Nobody is going to care about some of these matchups. Jack sent me over the schedule for Fox College Football last night, and some of the Friday games are just such jokes. Yeah, like, Rutgers is on there twice against USC and Washington. Who cares? Like, those are Friday night nationally televised games. Nobody cares about Rutgers facing somebody 3,000 miles away. It's like, what's the point?
And cutting my teeth, I was covered high school football. I hate that they play on Friday nights. Hated when the Big East did it in the 2000s. Yeah. Just makes me mad. And, to Jay's point, when you brought up the transfer portal, if they could figure out some way that if they have to stay for 2 years or 3 years, they can't just start, if you get a certain amount of money or to leave, it has to be a special exception. And then you might get teams again that build up, and in the NCAA tournament, you can see the same team twice or 3 times, like when we were kids. And Jay, also, you brought up the NCAA. They technically didn't do name, image, and likeness. They did image and likeness. No, sort of like Mike Vick would be white. Like, you'd be playing with Virginia Tech's quarterback, but he doesn't look anything like him, but you knew it was Mike Vick. But yeah, so I'm glad they took care of that stuff. But they can figure out a way to get these kids to stay around for a little while. That would be the silver lining.
Well, maybe. Some smart schools are going to do that. And they've already done that. Like, if you remember a decade back, Duke one year had Jabari Parker and I think Rodney Hood. They ran into Mercer in that first round. Mercer was full of guys who had been there 5, even 6 years because of injuries. And Mercer smacked Duke, and that was the end of the season for the Blue Devils. Like, smaller schools run by smart coaches are going to take full advantage of this, build up an old roster, and win with it.
Well, Dan, that's the same thing 2 seasons ago that Fairleigh Dickinson did in getting to my alma mater and getting to what the Elite Eight or wherever they got to.
St. Peter's.
They had what is it, 6 5-year seniors that were
Penn State
playing
did it
together.
before. I mean, Penn State's a different animal because Penn State's a school with plenty of resources, but that was how Penn State finally got back into the tournament under Micah Shrewsbury a couple years ago. They were the oldest team in the country.
Well, now, though, you have to coaches now, and I know that a lot of coaches are complaining about this, but it's just a new era. And, we've seen it, obviously I follow college baseball, but you've seen in college baseball now where the older coaches that didn't necessarily have the relationship with the players, they're out. I mean, they can't coach that way anymore because, like, we look at just my school, West Virginia. Before this happened, you'd say, okay, here's the pitchers we got coming back. Here's where Joe fits in. Here's this, here's that. Now you have no idea because you have no idea who's going to leave. You have no idea who they're going to bring in. So everything is a restart. Everything starts over. Yeah. And for the players that you have that you want to keep, it's now incumbent upon the coaches, the head coaches, to get the relationship, to convince their players to stay and to be able to know what they're going to need to do that. The players they do want to stay and that those they don't obviously go. But all of these rosters in football, baseball, and basketball now, they're going to just turn over every season, right? It's just kind of open now. Almost like everybody's a free agent, right?
For the fans. How about you could play for 1 year for Auburn and the next year for Bama.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about starting a civil war somewhere. Mitch, down where my daughter lives in Alabama, those are fighting words down there, man.
Oh yeah. And you're right. And John, you're right. When you talk about these coaches have to coddle these kids. I mean, we saw Huggins. Literally, Huggins had everybody transfer out because he goes hardcore on you for a second. They whine, cry to mommy, and then they transfer out and go somewhere else. So you have to like coach differently too. You have to be their friend and be younger. So it's just a detriment all around. So they need to figure something out, or it's just what we know is gone. And
Calipari goes to Arkansas and said they have to have a minimum of $5 million in the NIL pot every year for
minimum.
Basketball.
Minimum. So I mean, you just think about that. I mean, it's a tremendous. Well, you look at the coach in Ohio State, right? He said, in order to beat Michigan, I need what, X million dollars. I'm talking off the top of my head, so I don't remember the number. But the Ohio State football coach said, I need X million dollars in order to get the players I need to beat Michigan and compete in the NIL money. And he got on the phone. He started talking to all the boosters and the donors, and he raised like $100 million, and now he's paying everybody. I mean, that's what it's turning into now. The coaches have to be tremendous fundraisers. And then obviously they don't control the revenue stream, because then you look at the second stream of income, which is going to be, I'm going to get a percentage of the revenue. They control that by filling up the stands, by getting the big TV contract. So that money they can't raise themselves. That's just there, and that's going to get partitioned out. So
and that's capped, I think, at $21 million, isn't it, John? They pay up. Each university can pay up to $21 million. Give back to the athletes up to $21 million. I mean, we are talking about ridiculous numbers.
West Virginia's guilty too. I mean, they've got Oliver Luck's hedge fund. We got like two. I mean, they're trying to jump in and take advantage of this.
This is the same stuff that SMU got the death penalty for back in 1997.
Exactly.
And now, now we're at the point where SMU, with all of that money, was able to buy their way into the ACC legally, and they've still got plenty of money to burn on getting all these players. They wanted to buy a championship back in the 80s. Now they actually can.
Unbelievable. Hey,
Let's
guys,
just give
I
it to
wanna
him. We
talk-
gave Bush his Heisman back. We can just give SMU a championship.
But no, and then what you just said, Mitch, about West Virginia. I mean, the perfect example. They've got several pots of money for NIL now,
They do.
right? Where you got one guy that sets up his own trust. I mean, their main trust is called, I think it's called Country Roads.
Mhm.
That's where all the donors put their money in. We donated to it. They take out X. We donate, X dollars, $50 a month or something, because that's how they get the money in from all the fans and parents or whatever. But then there's a separate fund that they got, a separate pot of money. Oh, there's some guy just starts it. So this thing is just becoming insane, and we don't know where it's going to end up. But I tell you what, if you're a student athlete right now, you're going to make a lot of money, and because the payout starts, I think it's spring of 2025 is what they said. The first thing, Anna, Mom, and I calculated was, okay, when does our son get in this pot of money? Because it's like, okay, well, that's the good news, right? He's still going to be eligible.
Can he red shirt? Red shirt.
Yeah, just like red shirt. Just say, hey, feign an injury. Oh, I hurt my arm. I got a red shirt, so that I get 2 years of eligibility for that. Of course,
yeah, go to grad school and play out of grad school too.
There you go.
If you can. What the
Well,
hell?
yeah, we have a fifth year senior on our team now. Ham Oliver is one of our best pitchers who's in graduate school, and he's going to get his MBA, and he got the fifth year, obviously, with COVID. But then I was thinking too, the kids that are the kids that are graduating or that are not eligible after this coming spring, they don't get to participate in any of that because it doesn't start until the spring of 25. So they just got totally screwed. But the kids coming up, I mean, this is turning into a money-making machine. And I used to rail against how much money is spent on travel baseball. I've been through it since Joe's 9 or 10. I've spent a lot of money traveling around. Wouldn't give it up for anything because of the time we spent together in the car and hotels and all that. But now every parent out there is going to be pushing their little guy to play something because the money is there. But you can't do any of this, guys, without a good night's sleep, right? You got to get your sleep. And I got up today, I jumped out of bed. I'm like, oh man, I got to host the show today. I better be on the top of my game. Well, of course I am. Why? Because I take REM sleep before I go to bed, which is the most phenomenal thing. If you don't have REM sleep, you got to get it, because you are going to get such a great night's sleep with REM sleep. I take it, Ann takes it, Jack takes it. Jack was there with me staying for 3 days, took it every night. Ann takes it, Joe takes it, half the baseball team. I tell you why, because it's all natural. I only take all natural stuff. It's going to put you in the deepest form of sleep. You're going to dream like crazy. But if you're getting 6.5, 7 hours, now if I get seven hours, some nights it's like I feel tremendous. Sometimes I get 5 for 5.5. You got to get the best sleep you can. And REM sleep does that. It supports the facets of sleep that is the best thing that you could possibly have. So go to healthycell.com, healthycell.com/Godzilla, healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. You get 20% off your first order, and you go sleep like a baby, and you are going to feel fantastic. Healthycell.com. Get your REM sleep there. Okay, let's guys move on. There's a lot to cover today. I know we spent a lot of time on that NCAA, but I got to get to the WNBA, because when this thing started, you watched it if you were right. If you were channel flipping in the old days, right? Remember that, Jay? You get to a hotel and you channel flip, and
I got stuck in this movie, or there's a
or you'd end up watching like some ridiculous thing about how crickets mate or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just be clear to, oh, this looks interesting, right? And once in a while you go past the WNBA game and you say, oh, who's that? Now
they're staying at the Rip Van Winkle or something.
Now it's like now it's big time, and it's all Caitlin Clark, and part of it was the women's tournament and the thing between when Baylor was there, and then when they went to when that coach went to LSU and they had that grudge match and all that good stuff. But now the WNBA is on the map. I got to give a shout out to one politician that I'm just going to say on the show that had the early vision, didn't work out for her, and that is former U.S. Senator from Georgia, Kelly Loeffler, who was the original owner of the Atlanta WNBA team. I forget what it's called.
Dream.
Dan. What?
The Dream.
The Dream. So she was before she was a U.S. senator. She invested a ton of money in the WNBA before it was anything to bring Atlanta a team, and she ended up selling out when she became a U.S. senator. She got appointed by Governor Kemp, and she was running for re-election and against Raphael Warnock. And I'm just going to tell this story because it's kind of lore now. And so all of her whole team that she paid came out one day in the warm-ups with Warnock for Senator shirts on. And so that pissed her off, and they shouldn't have done that. Anyway, she ended up selling her interest in the team. But I've have her on my show every week, and we've also talked about this, that she had the vision that someday the WNBA would be big time, and now it is. People are watching it. Revenues are up. Viewership is up. Certainly the Fever winning their first game last night with Caitlin Clark, big deal. I want to start here with Dan because, Dan, you have been an advocate of the WNBA for a very long time. Now it's taking America by storm. Besides Caitlin Clark, what else here, Dan, has happened?
I mean, people are just finally paying attention. And like WNBA is actually not one of the women's sports that I watch because basketball just really doesn't appeal much to me. But I do watch the PWHL, the NWSL, women, which is women's hockey, women's soccer, and all of those sports are having a moment as people are paying attention. I have watched a lot of women's college basketball, and that's been very well played at a high level for 20, 30 years now. And people are just finally waking up to the idea that, oh my God, there's actually women's sports beyond college. This is fairly interesting. Let's watch. And these athletes are doing a great job of seizing the moment. One thing the WNBA is doing this year that I think is very smart is in July, when MLB has the All-Star break, the WNBA is playing on both the day of the All-Star game and the day after the All-Star game. Something I have always hated and never understood. I've been on MLS to do this for well over a decade, is why every other sport basically cedes 3 days to MLB during the summer. Like, obviously, football's not playing at that time. Neither is on the NBA or the NHL. But there's no reason these sports that actually play in the summer shouldn't just dominate ESPN and the entire airwaves by having all of their teams play. And the WNBA, to its credit, is going to be playing on those days. So when people are flipping through channels who haven't found a WNBA team to support yet, they're going to see a game on those days and think, okay, this is something that I can actually get behind. So I think that the leadership is doing a lot of smart things. They've capitalized on the last couple years featuring some very compelling matchups in college basketball, and now those stars are at the pro level. So it'll be pretty interesting to see where things go from here and how long this moment continues and whether this turns into a long-term thing, which I think it can.
What do you think, Mitch?
You know what I think was what was really cool about the transition from college to the pros is it happened in like 2 week span. Like we were literally watching the March Madness women's tournament. And I was switching to the alternate broadcast. That's the ones where the girls burst. They are, and Barkley's right. They are so petty. They were just slamming on each other. But now they're proven right. Like, and so you watch like Kelsey Plum and all them, talking their smack about the rookies coming up, and then 2 weeks later they're in the league, which is in another sport it would take like next season or months later. I've loved it. It's been awesome. I mean, it's just great theater. Angel Reese putting out a tweet, talking crap on Caitlin Clark and then putting it down. It's getting us sports radio guys talking about this league. And it's having its moment. It's still subsidized by the NBA. It still needs the support. And you're right. People need to watch it, go buy jerseys. I think they're figuring out a better way to market this sport finally. And with NBA, they've been great with it. WNBA, it seems it's been on a struggle, but it's fun. Like Cameron Brink, I mean, it's just a fun rookie class. And Caitlin getting her first win last night. And it's funny. It's a lot of non-serious sports heads too that, don't realize that she was drafted to the worst team in the WNBA. That's how things work. But it's so many fair weather people out there right now just chiming in. But that's what they need. I mean, the WNBA is a buzz right now, and it's quality. It's fun to watch. I told you on the last game, I watched the Final Four with a former JMU Division I women's basketball player, and just watching her perspective and how excited she was with her daughters. It's really cool, and I'm for it. And I'll admit I was not a big supporter. Coming on this show and hearing Jack and Nate talk and Dan talk so elegantly about the women's game, I started to pay attention again this year, and I'm bandwagoning in, and I'm going to support them fully. And I just need to find a team, get some jerseys or something.
I mean, with how they're expanding, you might just want to wait until the right team comes in and get in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
I think what you just said, I don't think I had considered, but I think you nailed it. The fact that they went right from the season to pro ball, like we didn't have to wait 6 months. Like to see what she was going to do. It's like the finals were over, and then 2 weeks you put the TV on, and she's with the Indiana Fever, making step back threes again. And so, yeah, I think that is a cool thing that the WNBA has. So it's fun. Like I don't watch the NBA anymore. I stopped watching when they put Black Lives Matter on the side of the court during COVID. I just can't get back to it. Coupled with the fact that Rockets stink, so I have no interest, but I'm actually watching college basketball now. Jay, WNBA, Jay, perspective.
Shane Houston.
So guys, I have 4 daughters, and I've been very pro-female, and they're all athletes. I have 2 college athletes that play volleyball, but I think a couple of things have happened here. The product is better, right? When the world watched Caitlin Clark take 1.5 steps from the half court line and nail 3-pointers, that's never happened before in the women's game. And in order for them to get their just, for me, the quality of play had to step up. You know what I mean? And Dan, you guys have been following this much more than I have been. When I used to watch college or women's basketball, it reminded me of the older days with women's soccer. I'm a huge soccer fan, and it wasn't until the Olympics come around that you even got to look at some of women's sports, man. I mean, I'm a huge sports guy. I love following it, but the Olympics were what made me watch women's hockey and women's soccer. And I'm like, damn, the women's hockey, Dan, years ago caught me, and I was like, this is good. I mean, these Canadian chicks are ballers, They're,
Canada women's hockey is
outstanding. It's the Olympics, so you can't even put a glove on anybody. But those Canadian women are like, we're going to kick everybody's ass,
and they do. They're good enough to do it.
Yeah, and so it kind of started for me with the women's hockey, and then went over to the women's soccer and the World Cup, being every 4 years, and the things with the Olympics has helped. But for me, it's the product. You're looking at it and you're going, okay, these girls can play. They really can play. And some of the stuff when you watch the men play, like if you watch men's tennis, and I'm the oldest guy on the show for sure, but I can't even follow the ball.
You're right.
145 miles an hour to serve. I'm like in, out. I don't even know if that damn thing's in the stadium, know. But then you watch the women play and you go, oh man, that's really good. And you guys, it's happening in the LPGA right now too. Nelly Korda's on an absolute heater. She's won 6 of her last 7. But if you really want to learn golf, don't watch the men's game. Watch the women's game. They're way more technically sound. And a lot of that's happening in the other sports too.
Yeah.
They're more technically sound, and they're way more relatable, because you watch the men play in the NBA and you go, they make the basketball look like it's a grapefruit. They're holding it like this, and they just take it and just toss it the entire length of the court, and you're going, that ball's heavy, man. You can't do that. and so it's hard to relate. So for me, that's what I think is really important, and it's great for the girls. They're going to start making money. You can market this stuff now. I think, John, it was a tough sell, man. 5 years ago, it was just a tough sell to buy into that. You're like, yeah, there's a couple, it used to be, was she good looking too? And I know this is not popular, but they're like, oh, she has to be beautiful, sexy, and can play. Now they're like, just play.
Yeah.
Just play.
Well, now the issue.
Where do your daughters play volleyball?
Pop quiz. Okay. Who do you think's the oldest guy in the show? Me or Jay? Dan?
I have no idea.
Mitch. Mitch.
It's a tie for last.
Mitch.
I don't know. I know Jay was born in 1960 because I looked him up because I knew you were a golf pro. So
okay, you're both both wrong. Jay says he's the oldest guy in the show. Wrong. It's me. I'm 66. Jay's a young and sprightly 64. So going forward, Jay, you can say you're the second.
I'm the second
oldest guy in the show.
Okay.
I'm wrong about
don't be creeped out by my wiki search either.
And
now the thing becomes,
and of course, the one guy who doesn't know anything about Drake is the millennial.
Yeah, how does that?
I got to bring this up.
Great sports.
I got to bring this up with the WNBA. I have to bring it up. Jack would never bring this up, but it's part of now what you have to deal with. Okay, what happens when a guy decides I'm going to play in the WNBA and I'm no longer a guy, I'm a trans, and I'm going in the WNBA and I'm 6'8", and what happens, right? What happened? And that day is, you guys can't deny
never
that day's
coming. Not a chance.
It makes me sick.
Not a chance that'll ever happen.
Okay, I know where. I'm going to hold off here on Dan for a minute because I know where he stands on this. So I'm going to start with Mitch, Jay, and Dan, and we got 3 minutes. So you got a minute each. What happens when the first guy says, "I'm a girl, I'm a woman now, and I want to play in the NBA," and somebody signs him? What happens, Mitch?
I hope Dan's right that it just can't. It won't ever happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm firmly against them, playing men's sports. I can't imagine that ever happening. But college is going to have to be the people that stop that. The NCAA needs to set some rules up so it can't even get to that point where that happens. But that would be a travesty. I mean, but then you know what? I think it settles that debate right then because there would be no way just the eye test. People all across the world would be like, okay, this is ridiculous. But yeah, I'm against it. I just hope it never happens.
Dan?
Zero chance it ever happens. No, Joanna Man is not a documentary. No male player is ever going to feminize themselves from the paycheck. It's not going.
Wasn't on my bingo card for a Joanna Man reference. I love it.
Jay,
I'm with you guys. I mean, it's
Joanna Man.
Have we gotten that far off track? I mean, and then how the courts would have a field day with it. Let's just have some sort of. It's not common sense anymore. We know that for sure, John. It's just some sense. Can we have some sense and keep the sex that you were born with is the leagues that you have to stay in, or something like that? I mean, you can't cross over because you don't feel like a man today.
Well, but now with all this money going around. We just talked about all this money in college athletics. Some guy can say, well, I want to play basketball with the women's team, or I want to play hockey with the women's hockey team, or I want to play golf with the women's golf team. I mean, because there's a lot of money at stake. I mean, we saw it in swimming, right? That's the whole thing with Riley Gaines that's going on. I mean, it is inevitable. It is going to happen. Somebody's going to push the envelope. And of course, the NCAA is so weaselly and feckless. They're not going to do anything about it.
We're going to see the Astros sign you to a contract before we see that. It's never going to happen.
They should
have a better record.
Little middle infield for you, John. I like it.
I should go with. I should retire and then go work for the Astros and do their like.
No, we're going to sign. No, I mean, we're going to see the Astros sign you to a contract to play before we ever see it happen. It's not going to happen.
Oh man, if I could just bend over and tie my shoes, I'd be in excellent shape. I'm not sure about playing baseball. That's my
I tell you
biggest.
what, though, that would, from a marketing standpoint, I mean, the WNBA just doesn't want to ever even have this come up, especially at the height of their poputy.
Yep.
So they need.
But
to
it's
steer
going to
clear.
happen, guys.
They need to
It
steer
is
clear.
going to happen. It is
Zero
going to
chance.
happen. Somebody, the woke
Never.
mob is going to show up at your door with the WNBA.
Never gonna
The
happen,
woke
John.
mob's coming. All right, guys, we got to go to the top of the hour. When we get back, what's going on with Scotty Scheffler? What's the deal with him now? All that coming up and more. We got hockey. We got baseball. Stay right here.
Listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
All right, you're back on Godzilla Wins. Great to have you with us. Now, you can find us every Saturday, our Godzilla Wins show, one of the hottest things we have, 8 to 10 Eastern on every Saturday. Normally, the host of the show is our executive producer and our executive director, Jack Fredericks, my son. He is at graduation today for his high school in Mississippi. Also, Nate can't be with us. He's traveling. So I get to host the show today. I'm the third host in. So you talk about the third stringer coming in off the bench. It's like you got to get two guys out for me to come in and host. But when the cat's away, the mice will play. And so we're going to do that. Also with us is Mitch Rogers. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame as the girls soccer coach of all time in the Travel League. He's just an absolute beast. He's got all these girls going crazy playing for him. I heard, Mitch, these little girls that you got, these 9 and 10 years old, they would walk through a wall for you. That's what I've heard. That's the rumor in Virginia that you've got a budding career here.
Well, I've been roped in now to swim team, so my Saturdays may not be coming available either. So we'll figure this out. 9 and 6-year-old girls. Right. It's a tough. Jay said it's a tough.
Stop AFC Richmond women.
Well, Jay has got 4 daughters, so he gets it. Also with us, Jay Delson, former golf pro, now a mainstay on Godzilla Wins. And you can find Godzilla Wins on YouTube Live, Rumble Live, Getter Live, X Live, plus across the John Fredericks Media Network, all of our stations. By the way, adding Memphis next week. We're going to be in Memphis. Yay. It's another station we're adding. And then we're looking at some other stuff as well as we round things out here on the John Fredericks Media Network. And also with us is our senior editor and major writer, Dan Angel, with us, who was going around covering the, what conference is it again, Jay?
The Southland.
In Louisiana? The what?
Southland
Conference. Southland. Yes. Okay. He's
sounds like a Robert De Niro movie.
Yeah. This is the Southland Conference. I got to start with this. Our sponsor for this segment is our good friends at Newfound Thread. These are the best pants ever. I love these pants, and they're generational. Here's who's got these pants from Newfound Thread. I have them. I'm a baby boomer. He's got them on now. Jack's got them on right now at graduation with a suit and tie, right? Because they go with anything. Jack's a boomer. He's got them on. Joe Zoomer, he's got them. I love these pants. They're the best pants you're ever going to find. What you got to do is go to newfoundthread.com. Why are they so great? Because you can, wear them with anything. You can wear them with a jacket and tie. You can wear them business casual. You can wear them to a baseball game. You can wear them to a soccer game. You can wear them hanging around the house, right? They're super comfortable, but they look great on guys. These are guy pants. These are for men. These are not women's pants, right? These are guy pants. If you have a man bun and you wear skinny jeans, probably not going to work for you. These are guy pants. Deep pockets, absolutely fantastic. You clean your phone in them. They're great. And you don't have to take them to the cleaners. Like I had them on 2 pairs with me for 10 days. Actually, I had 3. Put them in a wash, hang them up, good to go after the dryer. These are the best pants you're ever going to find. Besides, came home the other night and picked me up, right when you're standing out there by, with the cars coming to Pittsburgh, got in the car. She said, "Oh, honey, you lost weight." I'm like, "No, I didn't tell her that, but just because I have them on, she thinks I lost weight. That is good enough for me." Go to newfoundthread.com, especially for your older guys. I mean, I tell you what, man, it's going to be like, wow.
Well, speak of older, you called Jack a boomer.
Jay,
Yeah.
I tell you what, Jay, you got to get these pants on, Jay. You got to get them.
I love it. John, those pants, I know those pants. They're fantastic. You know why? Don't have to iron them. You can take them right out of the dryer and pop them on, and they're perfect.
I had an event the other night, suit and tie. I had my Newfound Thread pants on. Took them out of the dryer, hang them up. Good to go. Just go to newfoundthread.com, newfoundthread.com. Put a promo code Godzilla. You're going to save 20% off, 20% and free shipping until Father's Day. So if you're looking for a Father's Day gift out there, you ladies, right, for your significant other, your son, someone, this is the things to go. They're $135. They're expensive, no doubt. With promo code Godzilla, you get 20% off. That's $107, free shipping. Best, you're going to save in 1 year. You paid for the pants by not taking them to the cleaners, or 6 months, depending how often you wear them. So best deal you can find, newfoundthread.com. And your wife is going to love these like Aunt loves mine. Hey, all she has to say is, "I'm hot." I keep buying them. That's all. Newfoundthread.com, promo code Godzilla. Okay, what's going on with Scotty Scheffler? What's the deal?
Oh, Jay. Man, I talking about obsessed. I cannot. So I don't know even where to start with this, but I really feel bad for the Louisville police. I cannot. Guys, Scotty Scheffler probably has never had a speeding ticket or a parking ticket in his life. This is the guy who is so down the middle and so conservative, and he's a major Catholic Christian guy. All these things that just don't fit. I think at the end of the day, these charges are going to get dropped. I've watched every single stupid video that's come out of the Louisville, thing and the police department, and I'm like, why did you jump on his moving car?
He was like running next to it.
Here's the other. I don't know. I'm all over the place, but so when you go to these tournaments, we're giving courtesy cars. So he's driving a brand new Lexus SUV that's got PGA Championship stickers on both doors and on the trunk. And they're only giving out to players. And he's pulling into the entrance of the golf club. Where's he going? Like, you're going to go in and break in and rob Valhalla?
It was before the sun came up, right?
What in the hell happened to this cop? I don't have any idea. I mean, they're not going to drop the case. They're going to try to take it all the way to to trial. Maybe it's insane,
funny because
of all the things, of all the guys, pull over John Daly. You could get him for 5 or 6 things, and felony for sure, probably. But Scotty Scheffler, man.
We were out golfing that morning, and all of a sudden, like the Twitter feed just says Scheffler's. I was in jail, and then when his mugshot came out, I was like, that's not real. There's no chance that they actually booked him and put him in the orange jumpsuit. But I tell you what, and you've been inside the ropes, Jay. Like, what it's gonna do. Hey, in the rap game, we call it street cred. Scheffler, the good wholesome boy image, and now he's been to jail. There is nothing that can be better for his career, as long as he stays winning, than this. And I tell you what, the TikTok videos and the Instagram have been hilarious. They have this guy, he's basically like reenacting it, and he goes, "Okay, show me you're a golfer," and he gives him his golf club, the cop does, and then Scheffler does the Scheffler shuffle and falls over like, "You're going to jail." It's the memes and everything. It's the funniest story in the world because. And unfortunately, and this is why Scheffler's such a class act, he literally in his press conference just kept bringing up the person that died and said, "Hey, this is there's a bigger thing that happened today than me going to jail and shooting 5 under. I mean, there's a human life that is gone. There's obviously a situation where, the cops were just in disarray. But I tell you what, the video doesn't help the cops though. Like it doesn't. He gets right out. Like he's not resisting. He just.
Oh my gosh! Did you see
what
the meme where they said
what
this
was
is
the deal with
Scotty
with
Scheffler's new putting stance, where he's handcuffed and the putter comes between his legs, and they're like, "Yeah."
Shooting 5 under.
Dan, what was the deal with the officer jumping on his car? Like what was he's driving through the golf club? Why was he jumping on his car?
No idea. Like seriously, I mean, you guys have covered it. It's like, what was the point of any of that? I mean, like, what are you doing? I mean,
he's put in the police report damage to his $60.
$80 worth of pants got ruined. Scotty will pay for it.
He should have had the new pants. If he had the new pants from Godzilla Wins, then he'd be fine.
He should have had
just throw them in the washing machine.
Nice.
He's good to go.
Nice.
Unbelievable. Somebody sent me a meme that they were going to do a T-shirt with 2 mugshots. Trump on one side, Scotty Scheffler on the other side, and the bottom said "screwed."
Well, I love how you can go down now. It's just now everyone's just showing golfers mugshots, which is hilarious. Tiger's like, come on. Tiger's like, literally, Scotty. Now I'm going to be all over the news again with my
they're going to drag Tiger
with my opioid face eyes. Oh.
All right, guys. I don't know what's going to happen there, but yeah. Anyway, I was just in Arlington, and I guess there's is there a big golf tournament coming up in there? Or Fort Worth
is it? Yeah, the Charles Schwab is at the Colonial Country Club. It's called nicknamed Hogan's Alley. Ben Hogan won there, and it's it's a pretty big event. It's not an elevated event. The pro golf is just a mess right now. So
why?
It's a big event. It's got probably I'd say it's probably got half of the top 25 players in the world playing there this week, and Xander Schauffele's not playing. So, guys, let me ask you this, and before we dump golf, because we're probably going to dump golf soon, which we probably should.
I love it.
So, you think about last week. Do you remember Xander Schauffele getting off the schneid, finally getting a major championship, breaking the all-time major scoring record, or do you think it's Scotty Scheffler getting arrested?
I know.
Scotty Scheffler getting arrested.
You know what? And
by the way, our panel with us, of course, I'm John Fredericks. I'm sitting in for Jack Fredericks, my son, hosting the show today. He is the host of the show. He is at graduation at his Mississippi West Tallahatchie High School today. So good job, Jack, there. Jay Delsing is with us. He's now a mainstay on our show. Jay, also former PGA golfer on the PGA Tour, but he knows a little bit about some other sports, as you can tell as well. And so he's with us. Plus, he got into the Godzilla Hall of Fame because he has a hoodie for me and Ann coming called Minister of Fun. So, Jay, we're looking forward to that. Hope you got XXX because otherwise
that's covered. They're on their way. And they're going to be our uniforms whenever we're on. We're going to be wearing Minister of Fun. I can't wait.
Also with us, Mitch Rogers, Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Pirates fan, also West Virginia alum, and also a girls youth soccer coach and making his mark there. And, of course, Dan Angel, our senior editor of Godzilla Wins. Go to GodzillaWins.com. Also go to our daily picks every day. Go to GodzillaWins.com. You get all our articles there and our picks, and then go to Daily Picks, which has got all of our picks up, and we're going to be expanding that format. Go to GodzillaWins.com. Dan Angel with us as well. All right, guys, let's get to hockey. I got to tell you, Dan, I've never followed hockey to the extent I am this season. Moving to Pittsburgh, becoming a Penguins fan, going to a few games, I kind of got into it. But these semifinals are unbelievable. I mean, if you went back to the Vancouver Edmonton series, and you took the goal and a half on each end, right? Just took a goal and a half on each end. I think you would have won. Let's see, there were 7. That would have been 14 bets. You would have won 13 out of 14 if you took a goal and a half on both ends. Every game within a goal. Now you get to the finals, overtime games, every game within a goal. Does this mean these teams are evenly matched? Dan, break this down for us because it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Rangers and the Panthers, like I've thought all year that the East was going to come down to three teams: New York, Florida, and Carolina. And obviously, we saw New York got by Carolina the last series. I was a little worried about the Rangers, whether they were starting to run on fumes because they're not completely healthy. The defense is not as strong as it once was. I mean, they still have Von Shesterkin back there, so that covers up a lot of flaws. But Florida is a really tough team to play against when you're not at full strength because the Panthers really just need one goal and they can force you to come to them with how strong their defense is. And Bobrovsky is just as good as Shesterkin has been. So this is going to be a really interesting chess match. The Rangers absolutely had to have that game last night to make the series. Now it goes down to Sunrise. Florida gets second line change, so this is going to get even more interesting. And these coaches have both been doing this for so long. I mean, Peter Laviolette is one of the best behind the bench anywhere. There's a reason that the guy has won everywhere he's gone. I think he's I think he has the most wins of any American-born coach in NHL history. So, I mean, New York definitely has the right man behind the bench, but Paul Maurice, no slouch either with Florida, and he's going to be the one deciding the matchups for the next two games in this series. So it's going to be really interesting to see where this series sits after Game 4, if Florida can get these two wins or if New York can at least get a split and get it back to the Garden at 2-2.
So who wins, Dan? Who wins the series?
I'm leaning toward the Panthers. I think the
Yeah, me
defense
too.
is just a little too strong, and I just don't think New York is at full. With New York not being at full strength, I don't think that they've got enough to get by Florida in a 7-game series. I'm feeling Florida in 6.
Kind of way I look at it. I think winning that first game in overtime in New York is really what they needed. They just had to get out of there the game. They did that, but they could have won last night as well. I mean, that game was tight. So I kind of like the Panthers there as well. Jay?
Guys, I think, first of all, trying to win the Stanley Cup, forget about it. I mean, it's almost like last man standing, right? I mean, the attrition and they are fighting over every inch of the ice, and it is so much fun. And I got to take my hat off to the referees because I am a massive hockey fan, and I cannot stand the modern rules. Dan, I don't know what you think about these guys. And John, you touch a guy's hands with your stick, and it's hooking. And there's so many. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the regular season more exciting. They're trying to open up scoring. But this is old school hockey. There's blood. There's. I mean, every single whistle, these guys are given the face washes and everything, and I just love it. It's super fun to watch. The defense is amazing, and I don't know how you play in this league without big, strong defensemen. When the Blues won the Stanley Cup in 2019, we literally beat the tar out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We had San Jose basically in submission in game 6 because they didn't want to do this anymore. And that's what's happening. And I like Florida as well. I think they have a little more grit. I love little Tkachuk out there. Matthew is a stud, and he is. Yeah. Did you see him pin Panarin down last night in front of the goal? And he had one. He was sitting on top of his chest, and had one hand on his face. You know, and Panarin's trying to like hit him with his other hand. There's great storylines in there. Lots of skill. I like Florida too, but. Guys, I think it might go to 7.
It might. The Rangers would have an advantage there because it'd be back in the Garden, but it's just tough to see New York getting more than one in Florida.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And especially if every game's a mirror of last night's game, even though they came out on top, it's going to be tough to do that every night and then take on and beat this Florida team. And we had some friends over last night, more fair weather hockey fans, and had no idea Florida was good. I was like, they've been good for a long time. And I was telling them, I was like, the kind of like the NHL went chalk a little bit, with the top 2 seeds, especially in the East. And that's refreshing because it never happens. I mean, the Capitals here would be the best team, by far on paper, never get to the finals. It's nice to see the 2 best teams especially in the East, facing each other. And Florida is just rugged and tough. And I agree with you all. It could go to 6 or 7. I think they do squeak it out. I don't normally root for New York teams, but man, it's been 30 years since Messi, and you know, it's kind of cool when they win every once in a while and then go on a 30-year drought. So I kind of rooting for New York to have some misery, but to get a little bit of, they're due. It's been 30 years, so I'm kind of rooting for the Rangers, which I've never said in my life as a Penguins fan. But it's going to be one heck of a series,
but we all like. I think we're all in agreement. We all like Florida to win the series, and I like Florida. I guess they play on Sunday, so I like Florida at home in that first game. Let's get to the other series. Another barn burner, Oilers and Dallas. Look, I picked every Edmonton game wrong except the final one where I had them over the Canucks. So, but it just, you count the stars out at your own peril, Dan, is almost the way I look at it. You look at them and it's, you know what? They've been there, done that. They get a little older and you just count them out. And damn it, if they don't keep winning, if they just don't keep winning. I mean, they just keep winning. That's when you think of the stars, you just think about they just win hockey. I don't know how they win these games. So you count them out as your own peril. They won the first game over Edmonton. That was in overtime. They're at home again tonight.
They lost
they're
that
minus
game.
one. Yeah, they're minus 140, I believe. I mean, they're minus 140 at home. I can't see Edmonton beating them 2 games straight at home. I just can't see it. So I'm going to pick. I'm going to bet Dallas tonight. They have to even this series at home. I'll start with Dan.
No, I think you're right about that. And honestly, I think Edmonton is kind of playing with house money in this game. A, because they'd be happy with a split, and B, because they should not have won that game. Dallas was so wasteful with the power play in that first Storm game. Dallas went 0 for 5 with the man advantage. That's not going to happen most nights. And one key thing that they did, that if they repeat that the rest of the series, Dallas is going to win this series. Edmonton got one opportunity with the extra man. The key for the Oilers, and that was how Vancouver almost pulled it off, is Edmonton dominates on special teams. The Oilers have the best power play by far in the playoffs, but they are nowhere near as good at 5-on-5 hockey because it's McDavid, Draisaitl, and whoever else shows up. I mean, Nugent Hopkins is sometimes a decent number 3, but the Oilers just don't have the depth. And most nights they don't need the depth because McDavid and Draisaitl are just otherworldly. But Dallas has enough depth to stand up to them as long as they keep themselves out of the box. And if this series is played 5-on-5, much like the Vancouver series was, Dallas has the experience that Vancouver didn't, and Dallas has the goaltending that Vancouver didn't to take care of Edmonton. So even though Dallas lost that first game, I still like the Stars in this series.
What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm rooting for Connor McDavid to finally get over the hump and get a cup. But I'm with you, and I wrote that down too. 5-on-5, Edmonton doesn't stand a chance, and I think that Dallas will play a lot better and stay out of the box. So that was my point as well. But again, like Hart, the Hart guy, I want to see McDavid get over the hump and win. So I know where my rooting interest lies. But tonight, if I'm and we're on a betting show. I would take Dallas at the minus 140 and run with that all day. It's going to be a split. And you're right. It is house money. They did not. Yeah. I'm just repeating Dan's stuff at this point. So, So I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm going with Dallas tonight.
Well, I tell you what, a really good bet is on DraftKings right now. They got Dallas plus 160 to win to win the series, plus 160.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's a great bet. I think I'm gonna take that bet when I get off the air. I just saw that right now because I think they're gonna win tonight, and I agree with Dan 100%. And Mitch, this is a 5-on-5. They're just a better hockey team. So I like Dallas in this thing, and I think plus 160 to win the series. I mean, if they win at home tonight, that line is going to go down to Dallas minus 150, just like that. So if you're looking for value, there it is. Jay?
Here's the thing that I look at too, guys. I love what you said about 5-on-5, but you got to make the Oilers defend. If you can make Draisaitl and McDavid, and God, are they fun to watch. I mean, they are otherworldly, as you said. But if you can make them stay on their side of center ice, you've got a real chance. The other thing that I love here in this series is I love Ottinger versus Skinner. I think the goalies I think that Dallas has a massive advantage in that. I'm a big Ottinger fan. Skinner was in and out in the last series, and they brought it. I thought it was kind of, gosh, I'm forgetting the backup that they brought in for Skinner, but I was kind of a fan. It was a Bethard or something like that, but I was kind of a fan of his. I thought it was a great story that he actually stole a couple games. But that's the key to me. Obviously, like you said, you've got a veteran team in Dallas. They know how to win. They're better at 5-on-5. They're better in net. And I like. I'm with you, Mitch. I would love to see Connor McDavid get a cup, but I'm on the Stars.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The goaltending is a huge edge for Dallas.
Looks like all of us are going with the Panthers to win this series and the Panthers to win tomorrow night. And looks like we're also going with Dallas to win tonight and Dallas to win the series. I just put my wager in at plus 160. I was afraid it was going to go down after people tune into our show. So you can go to DraftKings.com, sign up there, plus 160 right now, plus 160. Put in promo code Godzilla. You're going to get the best deals that they have when you sign up for that.
Is it ever good when we all agree?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
No,
It's scary.
We might have some shorts out there, some faders out there that may.
I mean, it's usually a bad sign, but I mean, when that's the way the data shows, I mean, what can you do?
That's true. Lose money.
Very exactly. Very quickly, we touched on college baseball earlier, so I'm going to just spend 1 minute on it. SEC tournament. This year, when the regionals come out, guys, and the way the regionals work is it's double elimination. Somebody's the home team. Obviously, they're the number one seed. They're the favorite. But then you go to the super regionals where you just play one other team, and you got to win 2 out of 3. So it's a best of 3 to get to the College World Series. Give me one, Dan. Give me one sleeper that could get to Omaha that is on nobody's radar screen.
Sleeper that could get to Omaha. I'm going to throw NC State out there. I mean, just because of what I saw when they played Florida State in that series, the Wolfpack can really hit. I mean, both teams hit very well in that series, but NC State has played very well as of late. I mean, pretty much anyone out of the SEC or ACC who makes it. I mean, Florida could also be a big-time sleeper because they are probably going to get in now. And right. Jack Caglione, I mean, watching him with the bat is just incredible. I mean, the Gators' big weakness is their lack of a bullpen. So that's probably going to hurt him, especially if they lose one of those early games. But Caglione's swing can absolutely change a game. I mean, when a team as good as Kentucky is walking you 4 times in one game intentionally, right, that's pretty big time respect. So I would say NC State is my stronger sleeper to make it to Omaha because I think the Wolfpack will host a regional but be on the road for the Supers. And if you're looking for a deep sleeper, Florida could absolutely make a run.
All right.
Hey, John, can I jump in and say?
Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
If you haven't gone to the College World Series in Omaha, it's a bucket list thing. If you like baseball, Omaha does a phenomenal job, and it is awesome. It is just, if you like baseball, you're going to love this. You get a $3 hot dog parking to $1. You know, it's absolutely fantastic, and you're going to watch the next. You know, there's Hall of Famers playing out there, future Hall of Famers.
Ann and I were going last year, and I forget something came up. I think it was freshman inauguration day or something. We had to go to Morgantown. I believe that was it, something like that. But this year we're definitely going, and I want to thank my my good friend from Beard Vet Coffee, Sean George, who's got a box there, and so he's invited us to that, and so we're going to look forward to going there. Look, everybody knows who my sleeper is. It's West Virginia. I think we're going to go to Omaha. This is if you're looking for value here, here's why I think we got a shot, right? We're going to be the 2nd seed, probably in Charlottesville. I'm sorry. I think we can beat Virginia. We got two dominant starters right now. Tyler Switolski did get off to a good start, transferred in, kind of got relegated to the pen, got in Macy's doghouse, was a starter on Sunday, didn't do well. Now he's come back and he's been his last two starts, he's been lights out. We have a great bullpen. We can hit with anybody. So I think if we can go to Charlottesville, I think West Virginia can get out of that tournament and go to a super regional. I don't care where they go. This team can beat anybody 2 out of 3 if they hit. They beat Oklahoma 2 out of 3 on the road. They swept Kansas on the road. They just went to Fort Worth, beat Texas Christian 2 out of 3. So they can beat anybody in the country 2 out of 3 because they have two great starters, and Switolski right now and Clark. They have some injuries. But everybody's dealing with injuries now. I mean, that's the thing. You look at your team and you say, we got some arms out. We got Hageman's out. Aiden Major's out. But every team has got arm problems now. They've all got injuries. So I think the sleeper here to get to Omaha is the Mountaineers. Mitch?
Hey, I'm jumping on your band. I haven't been following enough of it, so I'm going to roll with my Mountaineers, your son, and if they get in there, I might come down to Charlottesville and meet you.
Yeah, you got to get to Charlottesville. It's going to be fun. I mean, the thing about us is, if we get hot, look out. I mean, that's basically it. It's a very streaky team. We can hit with anybody. We've got probably the number 3 draft pick in the major leagues, and JJ Westerholt has been phenomenal. He's starting to hit now. We hit a bunch of homers. We get on base. It's Maisie's final season. There's a lot of thing here, but we have a good pen. We have good starters. Derek Clark, who's 5'9", our left-hander ace, has been lights out. All his starts this season. I think he missed the first month with an arm issue. Since then, he's had one non-quality start since the first month of the season. So he's going to be tough. Switolski is going to be tough. The pen is going to be tough. And if we hit, we got a chance to be there. And I'm projecting the JJ Weatherholt. I'm predicting he goes number 3 to the Rockies. I think he'll be the third choice and go to Colorado. And that's, $8-9 million. So, by the way, just to give a shout out to JJ, one of the nicest young men you could ever meet in your life. Just absolute polite Christian. Yes, sir. No, sir. Talks to all the players. Cheerleader, helps him out. Got to know his dad. But Jonathan was just a great young man. And I tell you what, Weatherholt, we're going to see him play in the major leagues. Jay? Sleeper.
Man, I love what you're saying. I'm a little removed from the college baseball world, but I've been to the College World Series, and I just absolutely love what they do in Omaha. So I'm going to put my Mountaineer hat on and pull you guys through and hope that you get a little momentum and that your son gets to hoist the trophy. What a thrill that would be.
Well, we just hope that we get there. By the way, Joe, those who follow Joe, he pitched 2 innings at Globe Life Field. This was in, I guess, Wednesday's game. Faced 6 batters, 1 hit, no walks. One guy got a single on him, and he threw a double play after that. So basically, he faced the minimum. 2 innings, no runs, one hit. He actually leads a team in ERA 1.16. So Joe's had 18 appearances as a freshman. Just absolutely couldn't ask for a better season for him. And it's tough as a freshman coming in, but I got to tell you, one of the biggest thrills I've had was seeing his picture on the big Globe Life scoreboard when he came in to pitch in the bottom of the 8th or bottom of the 7th. He came in to pitch. That was neat.
John, how fast does he throw?
Man.
Right, because you see the big screen because you're playing in the Ranger Stadium in a dome, and so it was kind of fun. So he had a fine 2 innings, and he's a ERA 1.16, got a phenomenal whip. And look, as a freshman, they get 18 appearances, and he's come in some very tough situations. They came in the Texas Christian game tied second and third, one out on the road against Texas Tech. He came in bottom of the eighth, bases loaded, one out. So Coach Mazey has put him in some very tough situations, and that's how you grow. So that's how you learn. That's how you get the experience for that. So he's had a fantastic season. He's a hard worker, and we'll see what happens. But Mitch, you got to come to
What's his velo like, John? How fast is his fastball?
91. He sits 90, 91. But what they told him right now is, it's not about velo. It's about your signature is getting outs, a soft contact and getting outs, and that's what he's been able to do. Now he's had 10 strikeouts, so I mean he can strike batters out, but his command hasn't always been there. But that's the way freshmen are. It's up and down. But you couldn't be happier for the season he's had, and he's a freshman, so his velo is going to go up. But right now, his slider is lights out. When he's getting that thing over, when he gets ahead of hitters, I mean, it's over. You're just not going to hit him. So that's what he has to do. When the season's over, he goes to the Cape Cod League, which is going to be fun. So
okay, so I want to know
awesome.
what are you and Ann like when he's on the mound? Because John, when I was playing golf, my mom was on one side of the fairway, my dad was on the other. My mom was saying a rosary, my dad was breaking sticks. They were a wreck.
So that's a great question, Jay. And so I'll be very detailed. Anne is like your mom. She is very nervous, and she's praying for him and doing the rosary thing. So my wife is just like your mom when you were playing golf. I am not like your father. I just sit there and clap. And so I stay very, very calm because I've been with him so long. And one of the big things about being a baseball father is, you just got to be, you have the ups, you have your downs. That's what baseball is. You go up, you go down. Things are good, things are bad. So, one thing I do not do when he's pitching is, because a lot of times I'll sit behind home plate because that's the best perspective of the game. Now, when he comes in the pitch, I do not do that. I'll go up in the stands because that's just a distraction. See your father there, forget it.
John, my dad used to stand behind, like I'd be putting, and I'd look over, and my dad's head is poking out behind a tree. My dad, get out of the way.
No, I'm the exact opposite. I'm the exact opposite. Now, look, I, as a baseball parent going to these games, and I've been to every series they've had except the one in Texas Tech. I had business. I couldn't make that. But I just root for my team. And, my perspective as a baseball dad is you go and you root for the team. I don't sweat it when he comes in. I don't sweat it when he isn't in. I leave that up to the managers, to Coach Mazey. I know that he'll get his opportunities. And so if you focus on rooting for the team and rooting for all the players, you get a different perspective. A lot of fathers get very caught up, even at the college level, in just their player. And so, they're fretting about playing time. They're fretting about what position he is in the batting order, or they're fretting about, how many appearances he's getting, or, if he's called on first or second out of the pen, and is he going to start on Sunday, and is he going to start on Saturday? A lot of dads get caught up in that. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I just think that's counterproductive. And so as a baseball father, I just go, I cheer for my team. When Joe gets in, I cheer for Joe. If he isn't in, it doesn't matter. And so I have a little bit of a different perspective. And so it keeps you on an even keel. And the problem is with the parents that are so intense and upset when things don't go well, it trickles down.
No,
It trickles down. I mean, my job is to keep my son even, encourage him, tell him to keep working. When he does a great job, I tell him that. When he does not, I don't buy into the nonsense, because that's what the job of the father is. So that's what the moms do. The moms buy into the whining and complaining about something. No, it's like I'll just share this. He, called me one day, came in with the bases loaded against Texas Christian. He didn't get enough time to warm up. Walked in the winning run on a 3-1 pitch, all upset. I didn't get enough time to warm up. I didn't do that. I'm like, dude, stop. You chose to be a high leverage reliever. Well, if you're a high leverage reliever, guess what? You're going to come in high leverage situations. And to sit there and say, I didn't get enough time to warm up, too friggin' bad. That's the way baseball is. Something happened, 2 quick hits. They got a left-hander coming up. You got to be ready 100% of the time. I mean, you got to figure this out, right? You got to figure it out. Things don't always go exactly the way you want it to go. But if you want to be that guy, if you want to get big time outs, then you got to be ready to make big time pitches like that, because that's your role. I was done with the conversation. He's like, Dad, you're right. That'll never happen to me again. So,
is he a left-hander, John?
What?
Lefty?
Yeah.
Oh man. Either being a good catcher or being a left-handed pitcher is quickest way in the big leagues, man.
There you go.
Yeah, so he's doing fine. He's had his super season, but he's just a fine young man. Now let's get to baseball, and we'll go with that. Who's up? Who's down? Major leagues. Let's start with Dan.
Either of you guys want to go first? I admit that Major League Baseball has not been on my radar this week.
I'll go first. So MLB, let's just lay this out, right? The Philadelphia Phillies have got to be the biggest surprise team in the major leagues. All they do is win. They just beat Texas 3 games at home. They're in first place. They got pitching that came from nowhere. No one has any idea how they got it, but they're winning games. So that's the first got to be the biggest shocker. Kansas City, who I said at the beginning of the season was going to be the team to watch, they're winning every day. This team's for real. Royals are going to get in the playoffs, and they're going to be a very dangerous team. This team is for real. They're a very, very solid team. They play great defense. They've got some good players. They're pitching. They got a closer. So you got to look out for Kansas City. Now, as far as my Astros are concerned, Jose or Kitty, who pitched in Sugarland yesterday, came out after 53 innings, forearm pain. He's gone for the season. You can forget him. If we could play Oakland every day, we'd probably win the division. Other than that,
if you played your division every week, and that
other than that, it's just
you have a chance because of that.
I mean, they got hot for a while. Then they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Angels. They blow a 6-1 lead at home in the 5th inning. Framber gives up 4 homers in 1 inning. They keep him in. I mean, what the hell is going on here? It's just every time you get a little ray of hope, then you get beaten games like that. Then they turn around. Angels beat him 2-1 the other day. So you start losing 2 out of 3 at home to the Angels. This team they're just not that, they're not very good right now. And their pitching is suspect, or Kitty's going to be out for the season. Framber's up and down. Verlander has 2 good games, a bad game. Their bullpen's getting overworked, and it's only May. So we got a lot of problems. Let's go to Mitch.
Congrats to Verlander on he just passed Maddox for most strikeouts, so that was pretty good. Hey, it's weird, I'm the Pittsburgh guy, and the Pirates might not be very good, but we're in the headlines because we have so Paul Skeens got up there, and Jared Jones. We have 2 really just amazing pitching prospects right now. We blow it, they both had amazing starts this week and about 5-run leads in each game, and we blew both of them. So my family is continuously drinking until Paul Skeens' next start, and we can get this right. It's interesting to see the Pirates in a weird conundrum now because they need bats, they need a first baseman, they have the worst ownership in baseball, so it's like you better do something right now. I live in the DC area. The Nats are one thing, but it's the Baltimore Orioles that are this team. Obviously, the Rookie of the Year and then the Rookie of the Year runner-up, so they are loaded. The East is just going to be classic again. The Yankees and the Orioles, it looks like, are going to be battling it out. But I'm with you, Phillies. Watching Bryce Harper get ejected. They're fiery. I hate them. I hate the Braves as well, but I think it's going to be Phillies and Braves rolling there. And I wouldn't say the Phillies are going to win that division yet, and the Braves are pretty stacked as well. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really hoping the Pirates can just do something, because when your home team or your favorite team is good in the summer, you just have a game every night. Just selfishly, I just want to be able to watch them.
Sure.
And they're at least exciting for 2 or 3 nights. They have three quality pitchers now, and there's no excuse. They should be able to take 2 or 3, win series here on out. So, I'll watch that. And yeah, but I want to see the Orioles. Orioles just suffered another loss to their starting pitching. They got 2 starters down, so they're going to be struggling a little bit there too. So,
well, Mitch, Pittsburgh's only 6 games out. They're only 4 games under 500. But when you've got Paul Skeens going every 5 days, I mean, this guy is he is something to behold. I can't remember seeing a rookie come in since the guy on the Chicago Cubs back in the day. What was his name?
Oh, Kerry Wood.
Kerry Wood.
Kerry Wood.
Yeah, Kerry Wood.
And it's kind of like Kerry Wood. All the hype.
Happened.
What? Dan?
Such a shame how the Cubs just had Wood and Pryor.
Yeah.
Couldn't cash it in.
We
had to get a
juice St. Louis over that, I'll tell you.
They had to get a roided up Jake Arrieta to get them past the hump.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Jake Arrieta
Against Cleveland.
He had steroids popping out of his veins when I was at the 1-game playoff against the Pirates. They were just oozing out. I was like, come on, man. Get this guy.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
So I got to give myself a couple of shout outs here. I told everybody Kansas City was going to be the sleeper team. They're 33-19.
I love that.
That was one thing I said. The other thing I said is Milwaukee was going to win the Central. They're 2.5 games over Chicago. You guys made fun of me about that. I also bet my future was Christian Yelich to be the MVP. Still got shot. So my baseball prognostication here is pretty good. One of the biggest disappointments this season, other than the Astros, which we've talked about, is Tampa Bay. They're 10.5 games out. All of a sudden, the magic with Tampa Bay dropped off. I mean, here it is, May. You're 10.5 games out. You're 2 games under 500. If the season ended today, they're not going to make the playoffs. So all this thing about Kevin Cash this and Kevin Cash that, all of a sudden they're 10.5 games out. Anybody want to weigh in on that race?
Well, guys, when I just look at MLB in general, you look at there's not very many good teams. I mean, you have the ones that stick out, and the Royals. I don't know how the hell you pick the Royals, John, but you're spot on with the Royals, and the Guardians are having a nice year. You go in the NL West, and the Dodgers. The Giants spent a fortune this year, and they can't get out of their own way. The Padres are a 500 team. The Dodgers are 14 games over 500. They're going to walk away with that division. The AL East is the division to watch. We just had the Orioles in town in St. Louis, and man, you want to talk about a bunch of young kids that you're not household names, but can really, really play and really fun to watch. But man, the Cardinals suck. There was this thing called the Cardinal Way, and we have lost our way. We've lost just about everything. We're starting to play a little bit better now, but it's
thank God.
Bad baseball, guys. It's can't get runners over, can't figure it. If we don't hit a home run, we don't know how to score a run.
The thing is about the Cardinals is, where are they going? Like, what's the plan? This is what I keep asking on the show. If you're a Cardinals fan, look, I get there's a rebuild. I'm an Astro fan. We went through the most painful rebuild in the history of rebuilds, 3 seasons straight over losing over 100 games. So I get the rebuild, but they're not in a rebuild. They're not in the rebuild. I don't get what they're doing. Can anybody explain to me what the hell the Cardinals are doing?
Nobody here can. John, I watch it every day. We can't. We overvalue our talent, right? And we're not developing players like we used to develop. Our farm system used to be one of the talk of the league, and the other thing where the Cardinals are really, really lax is the international market. We just do not figure it out. And the Cubs, we got rained out last night. I forget how to pronounce this Japanese fellow's name, but he's absolutely badass. He's got a .84 ERA. He's 5-0, and we got lucky because they rained the game out last night, so we didn't have to face him. But we don't do things like that. We pick up Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and Sonny Gray are the three pitchers that we added. We're good. Those guys are going to eat up some innings, and they know how to pitch. But man, what's going to happen in August? Their arms are going to fall off. Our bullpen's dead. We got problems in baseball heaven here. It's not good.
I mean, it's supposed to be baseball heaven, right? St. Louis, always there, always a good
Yep.
team, always got the farm system, always in the hunt.
Yep.
But I just don't know. If I was a Cardinals fan, I'd be like, what the hell are we doing? Let's get to Pittsburgh, Mitch. You know, the Pirates have been mocked for so long because they get a good player, they don't sign him, and then they go somewhere else. And we could go over all of the names. If they just kept the players they had, they'd be like 5 times defending world champions. So
that's what's happened to Tampa. Their Pittsburgh players from 2017's trade are starting to
exactly. But now that might be changing, right? Because they signed Mitch Keller. Obviously, they gave Paul Skeens the 10.1. They gave him the top slot in order to go with them, $10.1 million. So they've done that. So now the Pirates are stepping up a little bit. Do you see a change there that ownership sees that, look, we got to sign these guys?
I think we're going to see that in the next three to 4 weeks. They have to make a run just to fill up the stadium and have some energy and excitement when those prospects are out there. I mean, again, 3 of the top pitchers or potentially top pitchers in the division and maybe in major leagues. You have to start winning, and they have a major gap at first base. They need someone to. They need an extra alpha. They need hitting. They absolutely need hitting. They need to spend money. And it's about time to spend money. So I think in the next couple of weeks we'll know, or we're just watching. We're just watching us be the filter team that goes to the Yankees. You know, Yankees are looking at Paul Skeens right now, going, ha ha ha! I can't wait till you guys screw this up because we'll just take another one from you. Dodgers probably looking at Jones same way, like, can't wait. So they need to step up, and the city is getting frustrated. Dejan,
you got such a great ballpark.
It's
beautiful ballpark, gorgeous ballpark,
and it's so much. I mean, and could you imagine in 2026 if they have a good baseball team coming off of hosting the NFL draft right into the baseball season, just filling up that beautiful stadium and that area forever. They need to make that happen, and they just need to spend money. And they were so disappointing this offseason when we knew we were going to have the pitching to get this done and at least make a run. So they got to get a first baseman.
And the expectations have to have changed in Pittsburgh because now we've seen what Baltimore has been able to do because the Orioles were basically, along with Kansas City, the Orioles and the Royals were basically the AL's version of the Pirates. The Orioles at least had the excuse of, well, we're competing with the Yankees and the Red Sox who have more money than God. We have no real chance to do anything. And then they start drafting well. They show that it is possible. The Pirates never even had that excuse because, except for the possibility of the Cubs, there are no big money clubs in the Central. So the Pirates now have no excuse. I mean, they've drafted well. They need to follow that Oriole blueprint, and they should be able to be a contender in the National League.
I think so too. If Henry Davis could start hitting, it looks like he's in AAA trying to figure it out. That's been disappointing. If Cabron Hayes can, he's one of the best defensive third baseman in the league. Yeah. He needs to start hitting consistently, and
that division is still wide open. I mean,
it really is. Their batting philosophy is just terrible.
I think the Cubs are probably the best team in the Central this year. I mean, if Chicago could get anything out of their pitching, they'd be comfortably ahead. I mean, Hendricks has just been so awful, and Cade Brown is still probably a few months away at AAA Iowa, but I think the Cubs are probably the team to beat in the Central this year.
The Cubs, besides Paul Skeens and stuff, the Cubs might have the funniest storyline. That pitcher Shota, I'm going to get it wrong. Emanaga? They're
I think that's right.
.089 ERA. There was a cool article on ESPN last night that came out where all the major league players are like, he looks like the most hittable. They're saying he's the worst best pitcher in baseball right now because everything looks so hittable and they can't hit him. And he's fun to watch. It's electric when he comes in.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's no reason. Like, with the Cardinals directionless, I mean, the Reds are basically irrelevant. The Brewers are all right, and the Cubs seem to be heading in the strongest direction out of Pittsburgh's 4 division rivals, but there's no reason that the Pirates shouldn't be right there moving forward.
Yeah. You can't blow 5-run leads every night.
No, but you gotta sign your players. I mean, this is the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing.
But the Phillies used to do that, and they discovered a bullpen this year, and now they're the best team in baseball. I mean, the Pirate, like, you can get a bullpen, you can't get a Paul Skeens anywhere.
Well, and that's what stinks too. That was supposed to be their strength, was the backside of the bullpen, and
but
that's been a weakness. So.
Well, if you look at the Atlanta model, I mean, I think they got it right. Now, obviously, they got, their big Striders down. He's out for the season, but they're 29-19. But the Atlanta model, they got it right. Get good players, sign them to long-term contracts, and then you're able to build the relation with your fans, and you're going to get the fan base there. You're going to be able to sell the bling. And so you identify not only with your city, but with your player, like when we grew up, right? Like if your favorite player got traded, it was traumatic. I remember as an Astro fan, Jimmy Wynn got traded to the Dodgers. I mean, I was sick for 3 days, right? I was like 15 years old or something, and I couldn't believe they traded the toy cannon because your team stayed together except for trades. Now you're rooting for the city, not for the team, but then you get the affinity. So, like, I look at my team now. They haven't signed Tucker. They haven't signed Bregman. Like, just go ahead and sign them. Like, go ahead and give them the money. Who cares? Because that's now the identification. You're back with the players and not just with the city. And I think Atlanta has it right. And the best thing that Pittsburgh can do is sign this guy to some long-term contract because Skeens is going to be unbelievable. I mean, just watch him throw. And the other thing about him is it's effortless. Like, there's no herky-jerky in that. It's just an effortless thing. I think he's going to be – I think he might be one of the best Major League starters ever, guys, if he stays healthy.
Has he had Tommy John yet, guys?
No.
No. That's always an interesting, because that's inevitable, but that usually adds another mile or two to your fastball.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And, like –
insane.
And, I mean, like, we've talked a lot about college baseball on this show. I mean, last year, seeing Skeens versus Rhett Lauder in that LSU Wake Forest game, that was incredible to watch.
Yeah, it was, and also Livy Dunn has taken Pittsburgh by storm as well as his girlfriend. You asked the kid, they had a kid in the stands last night, and they were like, "What do you love about Skeens?" His mustache and his girlfriend. Like,
nice.
But you know what? I just bone back to the days that, like, the kids are going to be rooting for him. Like, I was in the stands at Three River Stadium with Bobby Bowe, please don't go. When Bobby Bonilla was taken away, and when you bring up Atlanta Braves, that's God, it's the worst day of my life when Sid Bream slid in there. I can't stand that team. But but that team got disbanded, and that was when free agency started. And it's nice for the kids to get back and have a couple names that they can root for in Pittsburgh again, at least for another 2 years until someone takes them from us.
Love that.
All right. Anybody got any MLB best picks today? Start with my nobody's got them. I've got one today. I like San Francisco with Jordan Hicks playing the Mets. San Francisco just not off to a good start, but Hicks has been absolutely phenomenal. Severino, I just don't trust him. So I like San Francisco today. That's my best bet of the day. San Francisco over New York, and I think I'm getting a plus 110. So my pick is the Giants. I'll have that up on Daily Picks. Hey, don't forget, if you love horse racing, I tell you what, Colonial Downs is coming in mid-July. It's going to be so much fun. Racing Thursday, racing Friday, racing Saturday. They got so many big events coming up. One of the most beautiful racetracks in the country, second only, in my opinion, to Saratoga. We got a whole suite there. We move our whole up there in July. This is going to be I'm not going to be there the first week. I'll be at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. We're going to go after that. And all you got to do is check them out. They got grandstand seats now. You can get box seats. It is the most fun you're going to have. Thursday, Friday, Saturday racing. 27 dates, goes through September. Check it out. Just go to colonialdowns.com, and you're going to have so much fun. And don't forget, when we're in there in July and August, come by our suite. Just text me anytime. We'll have you come up. And I get a lot of winners there. So we have a lot of fun. That's where we do our show. It's one of the highlights of our 12 months, but that's going to be after the Republican convention, which I am a national delegate. So I'll be there for the week. I think it's July 15th. So other than that, we are good to go. Hey, great show today. Shall we call Jack Wally Pip? Does that fit, Jay?
Oh, I like it.
No.
I like it.
The boomer.
Wally
Yeah,
Pip.
how did that
Those
math
of you-
work, by the way?
Those of you that don't know Wally Pip, he was the starting first baseman for the New York Yankees. Lou Gehrig was a rookie. Second game of the doubleheader against the White Sox, he said he had a headache. They started Lou Gehrig in his place, and Lou Gehrig played 3,000 straight games. You never heard of Wally Pip again. So, Jack, when you take these days off, son, and I stand in for you. I don't know. We could be
Look
friends
out.
here.
And it turned out Wally Pip didn't have a headache. He had a concussion.
Always the
That's a
always
headache
the
back then.
analyst.
That's just a headache.
And anyway, always the analyst. Okay, guys, thanks for being us. Want to thank Jay. Want to thank Dan Angel. Want to thank Jay Delsing, Dan Angel. Want to thank Mitch Rogers. We will see you next week. I am off Monday. Best stuff on the John Frederick Show. I'll see you bright and early on Tuesday. Everybody have a great holiday weekend.
See you guys.